He wasn't a king or a president, but in New York City, he ruled with absolute power. He walked out of courtrooms a free man, while his enemies ended up in the trunk of a car. The press called him the Teflon Don, because nothing seemed to stick. But this story isn't just about the glamour and the headlines. It's about a brutal rise to power, a trail of bodies, and the one fatal mistake that finally brought the Kingpin crashing down. John Joseph Gotti Jr. was born in the South Bronx in 1940, the fifth of 13 children in a poor family. He grew up on the tough streets of East New York, Brooklyn, a natural environment for a young man drawn to trouble. By the age of 12, Gotti was running with a local gang called the Fulton Rockaway Boys. He was a street brawler, a car thief, and a dropout. His idols weren't athletes or movie stars, they were mobsters. By his early 20s, Gotti's reputation for violence and ambition caught the eye of the Gambino crime family, then led by the powerful Carlo Gambino. Gotti started as a low-level enforcer for the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club in Ozone Park, Queens, his crew's headquarters. His mentor was a powerful capo named Aniello Delacroce. Under Delacroce, Gotti learned the rules of La Cosa Nostra and quickly earned a reputation as a reliable and ruthless earner. The Gambino family was changing. After Carlo Gambino died in 1976, power passed to his brother-in-law, Paul Castellano. Big Paul was different. He was a businessman who preferred skyscrapers to street corners. He looked down on thugs like Gotti and his crew. Tensions boiled over in 1985. Castellano was reportedly furious about Gotti's role in the unsanctioned kidnapping of a made man. Worse, Castellano was under indictment and was rumored to be ready to flip other captains to save himself. On December 16, 1985, John Gotti made his move. As Paul Castellano stepped out of his limousine outside Sparks Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan, he was ambushed and shot to death by a team of Gotti's hitmen. With his main rival and the family boss dead, and with the blessing of the late Delacroce, John Gotti declared himself the new boss of the Gambino crime family. The street thug from Brooklyn had reached the pinnacle of the underworld. Gotti didn't hide. He embraced the spotlight. He held court on the sidewalks of Little Italy, always impeccably dressed in $2,000 Brioni suits. The press ate it up. He was charismatic, quotable, and unlike any mob boss before him. And he seemed untouchable. In 3 separate high-profile trials, Gotti was acquitted. Juries were intimidated, witnesses recanted their testimonies out of fear, and cases fell apart. The media crowned him with the nickname that would define him, the Teflon Don. But the FBI was building a new kind of case. Led by Agent Bruce Mao, they began surveilling Gotti 24/7. And they planted a listening device in a place Gotti thought was his sanctuary, above the ceiling tiles in his headquarters at the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club. For the first time, they didn't need scared witnesses. They had the boss himself, on tape, ordering murders, discussing criminal schemes, and mocking the law. The final nail in the coffin came from within Gotti's inner circle. His underboss, Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, was arrested alongside him. Facing life in prison, Gravano did the unthinkable in the world of omerta. He broke the code of silence. Gravano agreed to testify against his boss. He detailed the murder of Paul Castellano, the killing of a union official who got in Gotti's way, and countless other crimes. The tapes from the Bergen Club corroborated it all. In 1992, the Teflon finally failed. John Gotti was convicted on all counts: murder, racketeering, loan sharking, obstruction of justice, and more. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His reign, which had lasted just 6 years, was over. Gotti was sent to the United States Penitentiary at Marion, Illinois, America's most secure prison. He was locked in his cell for 23 hours a day, isolated and stripped of all power. The Gambino family crumbled without him. In 1998, he was diagnosed with throat cancer. For years, he underwent treatment, but his condition worsened. On June 10, 2002, at the age of 61, John Gotti died in a prison medical center in Springfield, Missouri. He was buried in a lavish, gold-plated casket, paid for with money he couldn't legally account for, a final, fitting symbol of his life of crime. John Gotti's legacy is a complicated one. To some, he's a folk hero, a symbol of defiance against the system. But the reality is far darker. He was a murderer, a drug dealer, and a thug who ruled through fear and violence. His story is a classic tragedy of hubris. His love for the spotlight became his greatest weakness, leading the FBI directly to his door. He believed his own myth of invincibility, and in the end, it was that arrogance and the betrayal it bred that destroyed him. He wanted to be remembered as a king, but history will always remember him as a cautionary tale.